Happy Tuesday, everyone. We got some gymnastics fun coming your way again today. So we got a nice long kind of venture down this list of stuff to take down to get to our kind of final our final work set today. So let's kickstart off with a little warm up. We have 2 to 3 rounds of a dynamic triangle, 3 to 5 aside, plank lean for 6 to 10, alternating into a prone shoulder raise for 6 to 10, alternating in a 2 to 3 second hold per side, laying shoulder flexion for 3 to 5 reps, and a 2 to 3 round set to get you fired up. After that, we move into another kind of primer set, just going to work on some skills, some mobility, some prep. We have a windmill for 6 to 10 alternating reps, plank shoulder touch 6 to 10 at a 1 to 3 second pause, humeral glide to knee push-up for 3 to 5 reps, and a laying tuck and tilt for 3 to 5. So 2 to 3 rounds of that as well. Kind of building off the start of this piece right here. Next phase of work we're going to move into is a forearm side plank reach through for 15 seconds per side, into a floor pike hold for 10 to 20 seconds, and an alternating arch up for 20 seconds back and forth for a nice smooth set of 2 to 3 rounds. And then finally we moved into our work set on the minute for 10 minutes. So 5 rounds of work. We have a minute number 1, we have a handstand hold. So max time in the handstand, working for quality. Very similar to what we did last week with the L-sit. We want to build as much good banked time in our handstand or handstand variation. Minute number 2, arch hold for 20 seconds, rest 10, 2 times. So you'll have 20 seconds of arch holds, 10-second rest, 20-second arch hold, 10-second rest transition to get into that handstand position. So a nice little fun-filled day of work, lots of upper body and core work, so prep that upper body, get yourself ready, and let's have some fun. All right, let's get those feet under those hips. Let's take the arms big and tall up overhead. We're gonna shrug those shoulders. We're gonna come back down, bring those both hands down behind the neck, ribs in. We're gonna reach an elbow, come down, then reach an elbow, come down, reach an elbow, and down, elbow, and down. Big stretch with the arms. Set the shoulders, shrug, come back down, little side bend, reaching, come back through, little reach. And then we'll come all the way back down, touching those toes, walking up those shins, coming down, framing a foot. We'll step back into our lizard. Inside hands are going to reach up, bending at the 90 degree, and they're going to reach straight to the front and actively pull back. Reach straight to the front and pull back, straight to the front and pull back. Big reach, rotate, forearm to the floor, come back up, plant that hand, we'll step back into our down dog, setting those shoulders nice and strong, come back into that plank, and we'll bring the other foot up. So nice and square in those hips, inside hand, gonna reach up, bend at the 90, straight ahead, we'll pull back, straight ahead, pull back, and straight ahead, and pull back. Reach, and rotate, forearm to the floor, come back up, plant that hand, we'll step back into our down dog, setting those shoulders, just hanging out here for a moment. We'll come back into that plank, tiptoe those feet all the way up, roll ourselves up, big stretch, clasp those fingers, press way up, then straight ahead as we round out that upper back a bit, opening up that upper back and shoulder, open up those arms, we'll turn them in, turn them out, turn them in, and out, and in, and good. Bring those hands down. Let's get ourselves ready to go. So if you'd like to pause the video, take down any wrist work, some more upper body work, scat push-up, cat-cow, thread the needles, anything to get that body prepped, please do so. Get yourself ready. I'm going to walk you through that first phase of work, which is going to take care of a lot of that upper body stuff. Not a lot of wrist work though. So if you need some wrist work, please do so yourself. And come on and join me for the next little bit of our adventure. All right, our first exercise today is going to kickstart off with a dynamic triangle. So I'm going to take my sumo stance. I'm going to turn a toe straight to the side. The other toe is going to be on a slight angle, which is going to allow my hip to hinge into that back angle in the hip. My hand is going to come to the floor. My other arm is going to go straight up to the sky, and I'm going to pull that hip back as my whole torso moves as one unit. My arm is going to always reach up to the sky as the other arm traces my shin, and then I'm going to squeeze and stand tall. Good, I pull back into that hip, keeping that arm up to the sky, keeping a slight engagement through the glute, and then rise back up. So again, just as a quick reminder, everything moves together as a unit from shoulder, top of head, to hip crease. As we pull that hip into that back heel, I get that nice little tip, and everything kind of follows suit from there. So initiate it through the hips, let the body follow. After that, on both sides, we're going to move into our plank lean. So again, with the plank lean, I'm going to face forward. We're going to grip the floor with our hands. We have a wide grip with those fingers. My feet go back. I pull my ribs and hips in, and I press my shoulders to the sky. So I establish my good plank first. I'm going to lean to the left. I'm going to maintain that shoulder over the hand kind of positioning. And I'm going to initiate through the upper body. So my torso and hips follow my shoulders, and I work back and forth over top with some slight pauses per side. So I'm trying to stay as still as I can through my midsection and active through that upper back. So if I feel my shoulders start to sink or losing that control of the scapula, really focus on resetting, maybe taking a knee to reset that position so we can maintain that nice strong shoulder position the entire time. From there, we're going to lay on our stomach. We're going to work on our prone shoulder raise. So I'm going to get my body nice and set, toes together, pressing them into the floor. I'm going to pull my ribs and hips in, squeeze in my glutes, push my armpits down, press my palms down, and I'm going to get set in this engagement, maintaining. I'm going to lift an arm, keeping that armpit towards the floor, hold for 2 to 3 seconds, press it into the ground, and then lift the other side, holding for 2 to 3, coming back down. And I can either continue back and forth, or I can rest for a second, reset that position, and then continue on with my reps. So it's very important that from toe to the top of the head, I feel that engagement all the way through my body as I'm focusing on those shoulders. If by chance my body kind of lets go of that tension, I want you to take a moment, reset the tension from the toes up to the fingertips, and then continue those reps. After that, we're going to flip onto our back, and we're going to continue working on some of those finer tuning movements. So my feet are going to be flat just outside of my fingers. I'm going to pull my ribs and hips in so my low back is against the floor. And I'm going to keep my arms straight as I reach towards my toes, and I'm going to reach actively with those arms, keeping them straight, coming up and over the body like a little rainbow, taking it to end range. So I'm keeping my arms straight, my armpits facing the sky, my low back pressed against the floor, and then I maintain that contact as I come back down. Now if I need to, I can take a moment and just go, ooh. Or I can continue on with the next rep. Key point though, low back stays in contact, arms stay straight, and we take it as far as we can maintain those key points of contact and engagement. So if I can't get all the way to the floor, that's okay. We want to make sure we're focusing on our good position and our good engagement through our work set. Pause the video, take that down, get set, get ready to go. We're going to move into that next phase. We're going to kind of step it up a notch from that first one, but kind of still build off of those key movements. All right, you guys, building on that first piece, what we're going to do is we're going to start again in our sumo stance. I'm going to take my arm up overhead, actively pressing it to the ceiling. The other arm is going to be down towards the floor. I'm going to try and maintain this engagement of this good overhead position as I take down this entire windmill. I'm going to pull my hips back and rotate at my low ribs, taking it down as far as I feel comfortable. So I don't necessarily have to touch the floor, but I am going to work on maintaining that position as best I can as I pull back and rotate at the low rib. If I feel comfortable to the knee, I'll come back up, and then I'll take it from there. So I'm going to work around that positioning, really focusing on that good active shoulder and making that my primary focus, not how far down I can get to the floor. My next exercise I'm going to build off of is that plank lean. I'm going to do the plank shoulder touch. So the plank shoulder touch is going to involve that good hardy plank. I'm going to pull the ribs and hips in, pressing through the shoulders. I'm going to maintain that good lean. Once I'm solid on that one side, I'm going to touch my shoulder with a little pause, and then lean over, feel that that stability, touch my shoulder, come down. For now, what we're going to work on is same arm, same shoulder, working on keeping my body as square to the floor as I can. So I really want to focus on shoulders and chest even with the floor, not opening up to the side as I shift, all right? You want to actively press through that shoulder that's balancing so that I can take the time to pause and hold in that position. After those shoulder touches, we have our humeral glide to knee push-up. So I'm going to lay back on my stomach, having my hands under my elbows. My hands are just outside my shoulders by my chest. My wrist is stacked under my elbow. I'm going to pull my shoulder forward. I'm going to pull them back, set. Ribs and hips pull in, and I'm going to press to that knee push position, keeping that core pulled in, shoulder over the hands, and I'm going to lower forward and down, keeping that elbow stacked over top of my wrist. And then I'll relax, and I'll do it again. So I want to pull the elbows forward where I don't want them. I'll pull them back to where I do. Ribs and hips, maintaining that shoulder position and that core position as I come up, and then I'm lowering forward and down. So remembering, our goal is to really focus on that body position, that rib and hip, that nice hollow. If you have trouble pushing and maintaining that, just push to where you can, maintain the position, and then hold that isometric hold for 3 to 5 seconds, and lower with control. Try not to just hold for 3 to 5 seconds and then go, okay, right? Try and maintain that control all the way up and all the way down. We have 3 to 5 reps of either that isometric hold or that nice full push, depending on where you're at, and you can kind of experiment with that, even mix and match if you're used to doing the push. There's nothing wrong with holding that 1 to 2 inch plank off the floor to build that strength. After the humeral glide to knee push, I'm going to lay on my back again, and we're going to get set up like we did our leg shoulder flexion. So my feet are just outside my fingers. I'm going to pull my ribs and hips in. I'm going to reach my fingers towards my toes, and I'm going to take my arms to end range. So wherever I got to in my laying shoulder flexion. But then I'm going to leave them there, and from here, I'm going to pull my ribs and hips in more, tucking my pelvis, which may result in lifting my pelvis off the ground, and then I'm going to tilt, which is going to break at the low rib in the waist, and then I'm going to pull the ribs and hips in again, tucking, keeping the shoulders active, and then tilt, and then once I've done my desired reps, I'll come back to neutral, low back into the floor, I'll bring my arms up and over, completing that shoulder flexion rep, and then relax. So remembering that tuck of the pelvis may end up pulling the pelvis off the floor. It may not. It depends on how comfortable and how strong you are in that tuck. You may feel a little extra tuck. You may not feel it come off the ground too much, and that's okay. I want you to make sure you're listening to your body and focusing on where you can get in that range with that good active shoulder and that good tuck and squeeze. All right? So have some fun with those. Quick little recap again for that one. We have a windmill for 6 to 10 alternating reps. Plank shoulder touch 6 to 10 at a 1 to 3 second hold. Humeral glide to knee push-up for 3 to 5 reps. And a laying tuck and tilt for 3 to 5. 2 to 3 rounds through that. We're building off that first piece, so have some fun, see where it takes you, and let's come over to that next phase, which is going to involve a little bit more core work. Our last piece of work before the work set involves our forearm side plank reach through. So this is always a fun exercise, very challenging. You can do this from either the full forearm side plank or from the knee forearm side plank, either one. But just know that if you're going from the knee, you're not going to have as much rotation through as you will if you're in the toes, and that's okay. We want to build slowly from here. But just know that you're going to be limited in your range of motion, and that's okay. So with this reach through, we establish our side plank first, shoulder over the elbow, active reach overhead. And then for 15 seconds, you're going to take that arm, you're going to reach through, and then open back up. So we're making sure that the feet stay flat on the floor, the arm stays flat on the floor, and we're not coming up onto the toes or rounding into a normal plank position. We're staying in that side plank and just rotating through that upper body So you are gonna have a lot more limited range on the forearm than you would if you were a straight arm in that side plank reach through. Take your time with these, you guys. Balance is everything. So if we try and rush these too quick, we end up falling over on our butt. We don't really want to do that. So we want to take our time and build this slow. We have 15 seconds per side, so don't worry about rep rank or rep numbers. Worry about control and time under tension. From here, we're going to move into our floor pike hold. We did this yesterday, and we're actually going to use this as a handstand option in our work set. So this is a nice one just to practice before we get upside down in our workout. So we're going to get ourselves into our tabletop, our knees together and our toes curled under. My hands are just outside the shoulders. I'm going to grip the floor and press the shoulders up, pull the ribs and hips in, and then I'm going to lift my hips straight up, keeping my shoulders over top of my hands. My eyes are loosely looking down towards my toes, but I'm really focusing on those shoulders and pulling those ribs and hips in the entire time. So something to keep in mind, if we feel that shoulder start to disengage, or if we feel the core start to disengage, it's really important that we come out of that hold and not push more through. We want to make sure we're banking that good active time to build that good habit that we want for our handstand. Once we've done our floor pike hold for 10 to 20 seconds, we're going to move into our alternating arch up for 20 seconds. Now we're going to use our arch up, our arch hold in our workout today, but we're going to keep those arms nice and long, toes together, and as I do this, I set my clock, 20 seconds. I'm going to inhale, reach, and exhale down. Inhale, reach, exhale down. Inhale, reach, exhale down. And just work nice and steady back and forth for 20 seconds. Focusing on that long body from finger to toe, not necessarily worried about height or reps, just moving with our breath, just kind of priming up our back and our back portion of our body for the work set to come. Quick recap, we have a forearm side plank reach through, 15 seconds per side, floor pike hold for 10 to 20 seconds, hold, alternating arch up, dynamic 20 seconds, nice and steady for 2 to 3 rounds. From there, we're going to get you guys into the work set. So let's talk about our handstand options, and we're going to have some fun today. So pause the video, take that down, come join me for some handstand options. Now our work set today is an on the minute for 10 minutes, so that's 5 rounds of work. Minute number 1 is a handstand hold, and it can be any type of handstand hold you'd like to do depending on what you have access to or have at home. So we can do a kick up to handstand with a back to wall handstand. We can do a walk up into a wall facing handstand, wall angle hold on that 45 degree on the wall, or we can use a different apparatus. So if you're comfortable and you have space at home to do kick ups or wall walk ups, please do so. It's there for you, but we have some other options coming your way. So if you have an ottoman, a table, a chair that's stable, all right, that you can use, a bench, one of those options can be a knee box handstand. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our knees together, just like they were for our floor pike hold on our floor. Our hands are going to be under our shoulders. We're going to press our shoulders to the ears. We're going to squeeze our ribs and hips in, and we're going to hold that nice position, loading that hip, shoulder, and hand position nice and stacked. So we're going to hold that position for our time, banking good time coming out of it and not falling out of it, which is super important. Now, if our hamstrings will allow, we can also do this with a straight leg with the toes on the box. So what we can do is we can get our feet in the middle of the box. We tiptoe our hands in, so our hands are under our shoulders, our legs are nice and straight. We press into the floor, we pull our ribs in, and we hold that position as well, remembering that we have to breathe and we want to stack the hand, shoulder, and hip as best we can. Now, if our hamstrings are a little tight and jacked up, that require us to bend them a lot, go to the knees, because it's going to allow us to stack our position much better than if we have our knees bent and our legs kind of fried up from those hamstrings. Now, if you're like, well, I like to elevate my feet, but I can't quite go in those positions inverted, what you can do is an elevated plank. So my feet go in the middle of the box, my hands under my shoulders, I pull my ribs in, press my shoulders up, and I keep those shoulders over the hands, and I work that good squat, good plank mechanics that I normally do on the floor, just with my feet up in the air. It's gonna load my shoulders just a little bit more, so it's gonna make it just a little more top heavy and a little harder on the upper body. Now if you're looking at that going, ooh, okay, I don't have anything at home that I can put my feet or knees up on, but I do have the floor. What we can do our floor pike hold to get inverted. So my hands come underneath of my shoulders, my knees together, toes curled under. Like in our warm-up, I engage first. So I press my shoulders up, my ribs in, and then lift my hips up. But I'm gonna hold that. But I wanna make sure I'm engaging the shoulders and the core and setting that position before I lift my hips, because it's really, really tough to find that engagement when we're already upside down. Last but not least, we have a nice horizontal plank. So if you're like, I don't really feel comfortable going upside down in any means. So what we want to do is build that confidence and build that strength. We can work on holding that nice plank position, shoulders over the hands, ribs in, holding that isometric strength, building that nice plank position, and building that ability to hold that body up in that nice locked out position. Now, you have an option for that. We're going to be banking good time. So you have a minute to do with whatever you can in that good handstand position. So we want to make sure that whatever variation we choose, we're banking good engaged time in that minute. You don't have to use the whole minute. You don't have to hold for the whole thing. You can hold for pieces throughout and see where it takes you. Now in our next minute, what we have is 20 seconds of an arch hold. So unlike our dynamic arch up, we are going to hold that arch hold nice and long for 20 seconds. So my arms are nice and stretched, my toes stay together, and I'm going to inhale up and reach. And I'm going to try and keep those legs straight, those arms long, and just hold that for 20 seconds. Then I'll come down, rest for 10, and repeat one more time. Pop up, hit that handstand again. But if the double hand and double foot arch hold is a little bit too much, we can work on a hold for 20 seconds on one side, and then rest, and then the other 20-second hold can be done on the other side. So we're gonna allow ourselves to work that unilateral arch hold instead of working on the two. So you have a couple options there for you guys for that arch hold. It's a nice chance to work in opposition. We're working on that hollow and that compression in our handstand hold. We're gonna work that opposite direction, that nice extension in our arch hold. So it's a cool little work set. It's gonna tax the core quite a bit in that upper body, so don't be surprised if those arms are a little tired and that core is like noodle after. It's totally normal, all right? Have fun with this work set, you guys, today. It's a lot of gymnastics work. It's a lot of upper body mobility and strength work. So I hope you really take the time and enjoy and take advantage of some of these pieces in here, especially if you struggle with that overhead position. This can be really helpful for other movements down the line. As always, you guys, have fun, work for quality, and enjoy. Remember, we'll see you tomorrow with a slightly higher heart rate today, but treat this work set like a strength workout, all right? Because that's exactly what it is. It's another day of strength before we move into that midweek intensity on Wednesday. Have a great day. We'll see you very, very soon. Bye.